Ladies and gentle beings, it is very good to see you and to almost see you. Science must have been so hard. We're going to be looking at Nearpod, and in Nearpod you're going to be using this code here today. It is an X, a W, an M, an O, and an A. So nearpod.com, and then it will ask you to join the lesson, and the lesson code is XWMOA. We do seem to be still missing people. They're still on their way from science. Hello, good to see you. You've been sciencing. You've been at science.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, the liberties. Right, so in nearpod.com, here is your code. Like that. Enter that, and I shall take over your streams. Hello, good to see you. Good man, come on in. Missing an Abu still. He's coming in with his girlfriend. That was the instruction I got. You're a man to make an entrance there, Abu.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm late.
I'm just saying, you're a man to make an entrance. Alright, although not entirely sure that was worth the photo that she took of you coming in, but okay. Fair enough. Now, nearpod.com, XWMOA. Alright, add those in. Join us. Science really difficult. What's the brain power needed? What's the brain power needed in science? Yeah. Right. Now, we started the other day discussing, all right, our new topic is going to be the market model. It is quite it's sizable, let's say that, okay? It's almost exactly divided in half. The half that we look at first is called demand. That's the half where we live. That's us. We consumers live in the demand side. Okay? Then we're going to have a look at the supply side, which is going to be the producers, the businesses, the firms. We'll look at those. Okay? Then we're going to bring them all together like some giant handshake in the sky. I don't know why the handshake's in the sky, but anyway, fine, yeah. And we will end up with supply and demand creating the market model. All right. It is an amazing, impressive device, and we shall discuss it at length. All right, here we go. All right, we talked about those things, the strange things. We talked about how demand was all about a willingness and ability. We had to be both willing to purchase the product. We needed to have the desire to buy the product, but we also needed to have the money, the ability. So it doesn't matter how much Brandon wants the new pair of Jordan shoes. It doesn't matter if he cannot afford them. There is no demand. There is a new pair out, isn't there? Somebody brought a new pair of shoes out. I saw them. They look really good. I did think about them. I don't remember who it was. Now, if there is demand for an individual, a consumer like yourself and me, then there's also going to be demand in a market, which means everybody. All right, so we could map everybody's demand, and we will try that. Right, quick review, go. Won't take long, this one. Now, the Coca-Cola company will be very pleased that I have demand for Coca-Cola, so then they can get the money. Fine. Right, so we had the demand for an individual's willingness and ability to purchase a good and or service. We discussed this idea. Nothing like caffeine. All right, this one, a demand, what? Schedule. Demand, schedule. Called a demand, schedule. You can call it a demand table if you really want to. I don't mind. But in an exam, they're more likely to call it a demand schedule. And what we saw was we had price on the left, quantity on the right. We saw prices going in what's called ascending order, getting bigger as they went down. And we saw that there was a relationship between the price of the good and the quantity of it, in this case the service. What was the relationship that was illustrated there between price and quantity, do you think? I was going to make a sarky remark to you girls. I honestly was. But you probably don't know me well enough yet, so I don't think I will. If you were going to comment on the relationship between price and quantity, this is where the comment. What would you say about their relationship? Commenting on the relationship.
Oh.
Abu comes in. Commenting on the relationship. Very sweet, really. All right. So what would you say? Prices here are doing what? Increasing. Quantities here are. That's it. You have expressed the relationship. Prices increase, quantities decrease. Do they go in the same direction? No. So they're not like some sort of weird pop group that only goes in one direction. Yeah, I went there. I did. Yeah. You wait. I've got a couple more Bangkok train station references. I do. BTS. Well, if you're going to name yourself after the train station, what do you expect? They might as well jump back to the 1980s and start singing Locomotion. 1980s song, Locomotion. Nobody remember the 1980s? No? It was a funny time. It was. Sad in some respects, but funny.
I still listen to the music
I tell you, amazing music. Very poppy. Kylie Minogue, an Australian singer, sang a song called The Locomotion, which was a remake of a song from, I think, about the 1960s, from a music group, maybe the Shirelles. I'm not entirely sure. I did, because the connection was the Bangkok train station and the word locomotion. Okay, we'll move on. My son has moved my no button, so I don't know where it is. Here it is. Right. Now that we know the relationship, we can actually map it. We can draw a picture of the relationship. There it is. How might you describe that? If somebody was to come up to you and say, hey, Kane, which I'm sure they do. Yeah? Do they do that at Halloween? Would you like some candy, Kane? Probably better to do that at Christmas. Just wonder. How would you describe the demand curve, do you think? How would you describe it? How would you describe it? What do you think? What does it look like? Straight line. Good. You could describe it as a straight line. Any other way you could describe it? Constant. Gosh, you guys are so academic, you're not thinking the most obvious. That's how smart you are. Yeah. Now, my son is 7, but when he was a bit younger, there is a particular, I was going to say toy, not really toy, a particular thing he really enjoyed doing. And they were shaped like this. What am I talking about? Triangle. Yes, my son really liked playing with triangles. Well done. I'll give you a clue. There's at least one out there. There used to be. You can't use it at the moment because of the virus. Yes! Rock stars. Slides.
Oh, slides.
You stand at the top of the slide. There you are. All right. And you go whee, all the way down the slide. Looks like a slide. Yeah. Do you go up the slide? Not supposed to. It's like against the rules. Down the slide. Yeah. Add water and it becomes a hydro slide. All right. Okay. So now it is downward slope. Downward sloping. Did you get that it was going to be a slide? No. Downward sloping. Not upward sloping. Downward sloping. How do I know it's downward sloping? How do I know it's downward sloping? Somewhat ironically enough, apparently BTS are going to be on the Tonight Show tonight. How do I know? Downward sloping. Come on, mathematicians, look at it. What is it? Scale. Yeah, that tells you it's downward sloping. What would it look like if it was upward sloping? That way. Yeah. Now, I'm going to give you a really big clue. You ready for this? Downward sloping begins with what letter? D. The demand curve begins with what letter? D. So if you're ever asked which way does the demand curve slope, you think the letter D, downward sloping. Demand, downward sloping, both begin with D. There you go. All right. We had these conventions. We had to have a title. We had to get the axis right. Okay? Not the axis of evil, that's an entirely different thing. You had to get the scale right. And you had to have the curve right. You had to plot the points correctly. We did say that if you were a mathematician, you'd have worked out that the dependent and independent variables are actually around the wrong way. But that's because we're economists, we're not mathematicians. That also means that if you are attempting to do an economics demand curve in a spreadsheet program, it's going to cause you some problems. Because spreadsheets are based on maths. So, you know, Excel, Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets, they're based on maths. So they do X and Y, dependent and independent. But if you try to put the economics information into it, it could plot graphs the wrong way around. Right? So we do have to be careful if you're ever doing that, which you won't necessarily do. Another way to remember the conventions is that title, axis, have you got the lines there, and have you got all the labels? Now, I quite like that one because it spells out the word tall, which is something I've always wanted to be. I missed this much. Okay.
No.
Right. Now, let's imagine in our imaginingness that we've got this as our demand curve. But what if it isn't one person? Because you might have noticed that we're talking millions. So I don't know about how big your car is, but you're probably not going to put 1 million gallons into your car. Are you? No. Just checking. Yeah. Unless you are personally driving a space shuttle, I'm going to imagine, my space shuttle. I'm going to imagine you're not putting millions of gallons of petrol into your car. So therefore, we can make an assumption here that we're not talking one person, we're talking lots of people. So there are going to be some people, if we look here, and they, you know, we add them. Okay, let's just go back a step. Yeah. Let's imagine then that there are this person here, Kane, right? Let's imagine we've got Abu here, right? Because you're an individual point on the line. Do you see that? Okay. So what we've done is we've just added all of the people together, and we end up with a market demand. Okay? It's the entire market. Cool. Does suggest that, you know, Kane's perfectly happy to pay more money for the petrol. No good. But, you know, don't forget. So, we might have some visitors. mine or everybody's? On mine. Okay. Yes, please do. Now,
Can I?
yeah, good, good.
Can
That's
I
right,
close
it's being
it?
presented from here, so that's right, no problem. So you've got, this here, this is your market demand, all right? But wait, there's still more. Because now, sorry, that was the people coming to fix the computer. All okay now. Don't know if you're still there. Hopefully you're there. All right. Now, it's a law of demand. We've made it a law. And the way we've done that is by using this really weird Latin phrase. Now, please don't panic. I'm not going to ask you to pronounce it in one particular way. Okay? I'm not even going to be too concerned about how you spell it, so long as you get it roughly right. Okay? The Latin phrase, I tend to say ceteris paribus. I know nobody speaks Latin anymore, I know. The phrase is ceteris paribus. Now, when I was at university, one of my lecturers was a bit of a Latin scholarly person, And he said, no, 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 you don't pronounce it that way. You should be pronouncing it caterus paribus. I don't care. Pronounce it however you want. Spell it however you want, so long as it looks roughly that. But what it is it's the legalness on this relationship. It's this phrase here, all else equal. What it means is that you've basically put a fence around that relationship. So you've got a price here, you've got a quantity demanded, and you're just locking it together. You are stopping anything else from getting in there. Nothing else. Nothing can interfere. This is the important relationship. Nothing interferes. We okay with that? All right. Because then you need to do that.
Ta-da! Close exercise. So it should appear on your screen, and you put the words into the gaps.
Okay, I'll put that over there. I'll deal with that later. You're still in the meat. Action required. I'll deal with the action later. So it should appear on your computer. You fill in the gaps. Words at the top. Should work. Quite a tough one, that one. I said that. Very good. That could be it. All right. Okay. Oh, yeah. So that word there is the word applied. Maybe it's on a holiday. On the rest of it. That's a tough one, that one. plunges in. Oh, keep going, there we go. Not easy. That one. Okay. Inversely, it means opposite direction. So price in one direction and quantity in the other. All right, keep going, have a go. Isn't easy. All right, what we'll do is we'll do another 30 seconds. See how you get on. And then I will reveal the answer. That sounded very American. That's not answer, it's not. That's not good. That one there, fly. Over here. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us reveal the answers. Are we ready? The law of demand is one of the most fundamental concepts in economics. It works with the law of supply to explain how market economies allocate resources, how they determine the prices of goods and services that we observe in everyday transactions. The law of demand states that the quantity purchased varies inversely with prices. In other words, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Okay, clever. Did you notice how very quickly, academically speaking, the language just went whoop? All right? All right, much more academic language than you're used to. Okay, it's good to get exposed to it from time to time. There also is a song about it, which you might want to listen to at some point. Quite cool. Yeah. Right. Here is the demand, the law of demand. When the price goes up, the quantity goes down. When the price goes down, the quantity goes up, which makes what we call common sense. Because when you, the consumer, are wanting to buy something, if the price falls, you're going to typically want to buy more of it. When the price rises, chances are you're going to say, no, don't like that. I'm going to go and choose something cheaper. Maybe. By the way, this is the guy who came up with it. Well, came up with the maths behind it. His name is Alfred Marshall. Right. He was so instrumental in creating the maths behind the law of demand that they actually called it after him. Technically speaking, it's called a Marshallian demand curve. After. Right. And which one? Oh, here's a bit of terminology. This will be fun. When you have money in economics, we tend to refer to you as having what's called income. Right? Income. So if you have income, that increases your ability to buy goods and services, and that's half of that demand equation. So therefore, if the price of a good decreases, that increases your ability to buy. Because the price has gone down. So there is an income effect on you. Then, if the price was to increase, that should be increase. I apologize, I've done that wrong. If the price was to increase of the good, you, the consumer, will say, let's go and move to a cheaper good. So you will substitute to a cheaper good. Yeah, substitute, we're all right with the word? Yeah? Okay. Now it's your turn. And as you do that, I'm going to see if I can find the song. Because it's funny. Oh, lots of things going on here. Go away. Still there? Not sure that you are. Okay. Yeah. Oh, here it is. How are we getting on? All right, let's have a look and see what we have. Now, I think I did get this wrong. Yes, so I apologize. I got the decreases. No, that's right. So the first one is right. So the price of a good decreases, the quantity demanded increases. That's absolutely fine. Price of a good decreases, quantity demanded increases as consumers have more real income to spend, more buying power perceived. As the price of a good decreases, that should be increases, that one there, but I made that mistake when I typed it in. So we will fix that. Consumers will switch to the one that is relatively cheaper, so move to the cheaper substitute good. Woo. Okay. There you are. You're in the shop and you see the two goods. One is more expensive than the other. You're going to move potentially to the substitute good, the cheaper good. Okay. All right. Now, what I thought is I might show you the song. You want to see the song? There are some songs that I have found that are a little bit, how shall I put this? A little bit not good songs. All right, not ones that you listen to on your iPods. But this one I think is quite good, and this one you might actually listen to. It does go a bit beyond where you are at the moment, but that's okay. She's a very good singer. And there's some boys who try rapping.
Let's go. Today I'm gonna talk to you about some economics. Curve shit from left to right like it was platonic. Yup, fly in demand, yeah, you know we on it. By the end of this, you'll know perfect that I promise. To begin with, follow why the man is down sloping. Income substitute, detectives gotta stop it. Now don't forget marginal utility, diminishing what remarkable ability. Can't terminate grass, can't be precarious. Be runs too false, terrorist pyramid. That's the man's law, and above all, stand tall, tackle all problems, please, no mysterious. Now, let's move on to some determinants. We got a couple indicators, numbers of impertinence. Change of taste, change of pace, think of riders, change of face of service. They got everyone just learning it's so permanent. Today, I'm gonna talk to you about supply, cause it's always on my mind and I'm running out of time. Supply goes up as time goes by, and if the buyers ain't buying, but the prices get high. I don't know why, maybe because it's too shy, but when supply goes up, it got its vertical lines. Equilibrium on its way to goodbye, cause it's moving on down to the lower side. Not to NY, no, not in the streets, and if the sellers go up, then there's more to compete with. Technology got them moving so quick. Production costs come down and supply stimulus. We're talking future purchases. It's hit or miss. Economists and headaches thinking about all of this. And I could go on to write a 6-page list, but the list is unlimited on the topic of economics. Yeah.
I just know you're all going to be wanting this song. You'll be singing it, humming away to yourselves tonight. All right.
My shit's right, he runs too far. My shit's left, and it's just the opposite. The main shit's right, he too far. Like the rest of the left, I ain't positive. And don't forget to examine elasticity. To the man affected by price activity. The more elastic, more affected its ability to change. Inelastic, however, stays consistent. Consistently talking about few substitutes. That's salt, pepper, and what counts. Just a few examples as we get a handle on the sample material. The world looks like ample. Somebody been there now about cognizant. You does not know it, no more you suffering. The power to learn, now you steady wondering, stay studying, and never ever get to wondering.
Right. What's your favorite song of the week? There is a little bit of a story about the song. Or two. Good question. Well, this version of it has had 24,500 views, but there are a number of other versions of it. Now, the story with that As a little American, perhaps you might go, oh, yeah. But in American high school, some of them, not all of them, they actually do an economics song competition every year. Okay? And 1 year, that song won competition. There are a range of other ones that I have access to. I mean, you can find them, I'm sure, yourself. Do be a little careful when you search for them. Some of them are a bit more interesting, shall we say, than others. Okay? There is also a singing history teacher that I came across as well. That was quite interesting. He sings a rap about the Black Plague, which is quite weird. Right? But there are some quite good ones, right? And the AC/DC that you saw at the end isn't the music group, but it's actually the name of the channel of one of the economics teachers who was promoting the idea of this song competition. So every year, and as we go through the course over the next 2 years, I'll be able to show you a couple more songs because some of them are really funny. Just like weird, but funny. All right? So you'll be able to see that. Now, when you put a slide down for the kids to slide down, sometimes you might have to move it to a different place. Not quite the right place. So we need to figure out what determines where the demand curve is. All right, and when we use that word, we're determining where the demand curve is. We refer to it as a determinant of demand. Determinant of demand. Determining where the demand curve is. And again, because you are consumers, this is you. Well, this isn't you, but this is you. Okay? These are things you experience and you live with and live through. For example, a change in your income. You're very familiar with that. Some days you've got more money than others. That means you can buy more luxury handbags than other days. Yeah. There's a change in tastes and preferences. You're familiar with this too, the idea of fashion. The idea that maybe it isn't cool anymore to have this product. Yeah. In the 1980s, used to wear like little belt bags, put things in. Yes. Apparently they're not cool anymore. Okay. Tastes and preferences. You'll be surprised what people used to think was cool. Maybe you're not. And if you've been watching some of the 1980s TV shows that there have been, you'll be going, wow, look at that. That's just amazing. A change in the price of a substitute good. So those goods that we said were going to replace the other good. Yeah, substitute goods. In New Zealand, some of the learners got a bit confused as to what a substitute good was. So I had to talk to them in a manner that they would understand. Okay? So in New Zealand, very sport people. Okay? So in a sports team, say basketball, you have your key starting five. Then you are able to substitute different players in. Those players, they don't just get added, they come in and replace one of the other members of the team who's playing. So they're actually called a substitute. All right, so you will hear basketball players substitute. Yeah, not Subway sandwich. It's a different sub. The change in the price here, a complement good. I don't like this. I don't like the eerie. Complement good. Okay? Not complimentary, as in free, but a complement. You might have heard this idea perhaps before. You know, you get given something and it goes free with, say, compliment. So if you've ever bought let me say, anybody bought a cell phone? What do you need to buy? You bought the phone, what do you now need to buy? Case, charger perhaps, what else? Yeah. So there are other goods that you'd need to buy alongside or with the phone. You buy a computer, you might want to buy a case for the computer. You might want to buy extra, hard drives or something. There will always be an extra good that you can buy with the product. If I'm not mistaken, the new iPads, when they come out, either the new iPads when they come out or the new phones when they come out, are not going to come with a charger. You'll have to purposefully buy the charger separately. All right. Apparently, it saves space in the packaging, which is more environmentally friendly, apparently. It means that they can charge you more because you're buying the charger. Yeah. A lot. Yes. So when you're buying something with something else, okay, so you're buying bread and butter, cheese and biscuits, right, DVDs and a DVD player, then you are buying complement goods. Sometimes what you expect the price to be might change. And therefore, again, no, I don't know, don't want it. Other times, there might just be more people in the marketplace. All of a sudden, instead of there being 10 people there, there's 20. In New Zealand, for not this age, but for a younger age, okay, we used to get them to make products and sell them at school. And no matter how we organized it, there was always a huge crowd of people who would come in and just buy the stuff. All right. We had to end up limiting it. No, this age group can't go, this year group can't do it, this year group, just this one year group. That's the only one. Right? Otherwise, there were just too many people and it became too difficult to control. Some of the kids had products that they were selling food. It was all, generally speaking, was always food, that they would sell and they would be sold out in minutes. There was that much demand for it. No customers, all of a sudden, whoosh, in come the customers, gone. All right? And when they sold out, I said to them, well, how much more profit would you have made if you had more product to sell? Oh, yeah. Yep. All right, there was one company that sold out in 2 minutes. All of them, gone. We had a team, and do you know what a Segway is? Segway scooter? You stand on it and ride it, yeah? One of the families was one of the people that made those. So they brought them into school and they charged the kids to ride them and put like a little obstacle course out and had to ride around these obstacles. That was quite a good one. Yeah. There was another team that charged you to smash up a car. They brought an old car in. They got permission. And they brought in a whole lot of sledgehammers and safety goggles. And just, you paid to whack the car. Brilliant idea. Really dangerous. These tiny little kids with this big sledgehammer. Yeah, that was quite funny. Right? A number of them brought paintball guns and all sorts of things that they did. Right? Now, we will move on. These are determinants of demand. These are going to be the things that are going to determine the level of demand. They're going to determine where the demand curve is. Right. Now, you just saw it just before. So now I'd like you to write 3 that you just saw. Just write them. You don't have to explain them. Just what ones come to mind. Determinants of demand. case if you get completely stuck, you can ask them to Google. But try first.
Only three.
Just 3. Good. Got one wrong, have we?
Actually.
First one.
First one. Yep. Price of the actual product.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense.
There's no impact on demand at all. Interestingly. All right. Oh, Brandon's got one wrong as well. Good. James got one wrong as well. Lancelot's got one wrong as well. Well done, Irina. Well done. Arjun's got one wrong too. Well done, Emma. I like that. All right. Now, I put some things in here for a visual illustration. Ready? Visual illustration. What's this?
Box.
Oh, hold on. Let's imagine it's not a box. Let's imagine instead this is a demand curve. They don't have it written on it at all. The demand curve. So the box is now a demand curve. So we change the tastes. Demand curve moves. Change the level of income. Demand curve moves. Yeah. Well, what's inside the demand curve? Right? A whole bunch of these. All right. Individual quantities that we might demand at the different prices. And we add them all up, and it becomes demand. So demand, if you like, is the container that holds all of the individual quantities in it. So these quantities are what are affected by the price. Okay? Price rises, quantities go down. Price decreases, quantities go up. But demand hasn't moved. The container hasn't gone anywhere. Yeah? But if we were to break ceteris paribus and allow something else into the equation, oh no, all of a sudden everybody's got more money. Let's demand more. Oh no, all of a sudden the good is not trendy anymore. So we demand less. That's how it works. Yeah? But if we delve into the price, we start talking about price, then we're talking about the individual quantities within the relationship. Okay? But when we talk about demand, it's the whole curve. Ooh, that's break soon. Right. Last question for you. Are you familiar with how things move? What if I told you that for a demand curve, there are only two possible movements that it can make? Just two. That's it. It can either increase or decrease. That's it. It can either move to the right or it can move to the, if this one's to the right, this one's to the left. That's it. It doesn't go up, doesn't go down necessarily. It just moves to the right or to the left. So when we start moving the curves, and there's, I don't know, weird situation, effectively you've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. Because the curve can only move right or left. That's it. So whatever the situation happens, the curve will move, yes, but it's only going to move to the right or to the left. That's all. That's all that's going to happen. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we will finish there today. You've done a really great job, and we've been interrupted by people trying to fix the computer. There is cleaning stuff here. Remember, this is the cleaning for the desk. This is the cleaning for your hands, cloths, etc. Please nominate someone to come and clean your desks. Once your desks are clean, your hands are clean, you can depart like the hairdresser. Have a fantastic day. Thank you. We will see you again. Bye.